I'm here with Alex. Can you tell me a little bit about what's happening here?
Yes, this area here is called the Collabatory. So basically we've vetted and found about 60 designers. They all come in, submit their games, and these are the top 60 that we've sort of chosen. And all these people have prototype level games that they want play tested, and we cycle them through for the 3 days of PAX.
Can you tell me a little bit about the TGDA?
Yeah, so the TGDA is the Tabletop Game Designers of Australia. It's an organisation, not-for-profit, and we try and help facilitate good game design, board game design in Australia. It's a bit of a community group. We all help each other out. A lot of us have experience in publishing, artwork, production, marketing, fulfillment, all that sort of thing. And yeah, we help each other out.
So, obviously the prototypes are at various different stages from what we can see already, but what are the designers hoping to get out of PAX this weekend?
A lot of self-promotion and playtesting, so it's a bit of combination of promoting yourself, getting your game out there, letting people know what you do or what you're up to. A couple of these people have all been here before with the same games, it's just in a further stage. And playtesting is always important to make sure you have that perfect game.
Can you tell us a little bit about the board game design scene in Australia?
It's a big scene. Not much gets published. So unfortunately, Australia is sort of stuck at the bottom of the world, and there's not a huge amount of publishers in Australia. We're very, very limited. So between the designers that are here, there's only a few Australian-based published games that are either on Kickstarter or self-published, and another little handful that gets picked up internationally by international publishers.
So is that a regional thing with costs for sort of shipping and all that sort of fulfillment? Is that what's sort of one of the reasons it's a low amount of publishers?
A low amount of publishers doesn't help, but I guess it's a smaller market as well. Like you go somewhere like Europe, there's a massive market for board games. You go somewhere like America, they hold a convention every week in a different state. You can go to four conventions in 2 weeks if you wanted to. It's a lack of those sort of events and promotion and demand. Like, we are a big community, we all love to play games, but there's not that many people buying games in comparison to those other big countries.
There's a lot of people just over there on the free play area playing games that might be a little bit scared to come and test prototypes. What would you sort of say to the average board game fan about this area?
That's hard. There's a lot of people that love playing games, and the non-prettiness of a game can help not play the game. So a lot of the games that are in prototype form, you do sort of need to have that better, different audience that will accept a prototype stuff. But to be fair, almost all the games that we have vetted, they are good games. That's why we have them here.
So Leigh, can you tell me a little bit about your game, Grimwald?
Yeah, sure. So Grimwald is a game that I started designing in 2020, so it's almost been 2 years that I've been working on the game design. A bit of a COVID hobby. In terms of the game itself, basically I was inspired by the PC game Diablo 2. Have you played that one? Yep. So what I really liked about Diablo 2 was all of the character development. So I made a board game which is all about character development, but I took out all of the combat and turned it into more of a Euro-style game, almost similar to worker placement.
Do you think it's focused on the character development that makes the game unique?
I think so. When I ask other people, like people that have playtested the game, what's a similar game, they usually don't have many suggestions. Ones that come up is a game like Role Player. There's a game called Sanctum, which is sort of playing off the Diablo vibe. But the people's frustration with those games is they make a really cool, unique character, but they don't actually get to do something with their character. So although there's no combat, you're still using all of the skills that you're unlocking, the attributes. So if you're a really smart character, if you've got a great stat in wisdom, you actually get to use your character and feel like you've not only created something special, but you actually have got to be that character and play it in the game.
Can you tell me a little bit about the prototype that's on the board in the process of getting to this?
Yep, so I guess first of all, It's a slow process. It starts off, it's not pretty. I spent about 9 months. I started off just in spreadsheets and printing out the roughest prototypes you could imagine. But with game design, one thing is you really need to get it to the table. If you're designing a game, don't leave it in a spreadsheet for too long. Actually print stuff out, make stuff, test it with anyone who's willing, and that's where the actual game is designed. The game isn't designed on a spreadsheet. The game is designed playing it with people and actually getting it out there, sort of giving the game space to develop on its own. But you also need a really good vision for how you would like to make your game, because there's obviously a lot of options of what to do with a board game, but you need a really clear vision of I'd like the game to feel like this. I'd like players to do this particular action. So you really need like a vision of where you'd like to head with a game design.
So is this weekend at PAX, is it about testing more, or is it about promotion, or what do you hope to achieve?
I guess for me, I'm not trying to promote the game too heavily, because for me, I'm designing the game as a designer, not as a publisher. I'm not self-publishing the game. My aim is to really pitch it to publishers and get someone else to pick it up and do that end of promotion, marketing, distribution, getting it out into the public. But any game designer also has to be able to really sell their vision of the game. So an event like this, you talk to a lot of people, you explain your game, and you become quite good at getting across the message and what you're really trying to create. So for me, it's all about the game design, but bringing it to an event like this is less about getting feedback and constructive criticism, and more about just sharing your vision for the game and getting it out there in the public.
Leigh, thank you for running us through the game and talking a little bit about the sort of behind the scenes of the development.
Thanks so much, Liam.
Now, you two are showing off a rather unique game at PAX. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So this is one of the only sound-based board games in the world. I'll let Nat tell you how they sort of came up with it, but it is a project that sort of originated during COVID.
Yes, one drunken night when we were allowed 6 people during the Melbourne lockdowns. We were just playing Articulate. I don't know if you're familiar with that game, but word-based party game. And some friends of ours had a fight, and I found myself just sitting with one lonely friend next to me, and we were like, here's a card from Articulate. Make this as a sound. And I think I said, do a trumpet. And he was like, doo-doo-doo-doo. And I'm like, okay, that was good, but take your hands away. And then he was trying to do it, and we're like, oh, this is quite funny and interesting. And so for the entire night, we just spent trying to make sounds from these cards without our hands. And it really stimulates a part of your mind that you don't really touch into. And the next day I woke up and I messaged him and I said, this is a good idea, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And now a year and a half later, we're at PAX.
That twist on the formula is what you think makes this game sort of unique and more interesting than some of the other sort of games of this sort of ilk?
Well, there are party games, so Taboo, where you've got to communicate through words. There's Pictionary, which is drawing based, Cranium, where maybe you sculpt, charades, silence. But there aren't really any sound-based games. And then when you remove your hands from it and have to move your body and make sounds, you really have to come out of your shell, and it's kind of weird to me that there are no games like that.
When we say to people, it's like charades but with sounds, they sort of click immediately and it forms a good base, and then we sort of build from that. And the big difference about our game is you've got different categories, you've got lifelines that your team get to use. So you've got steal and uncuff me. So there's a lot of strategy that comes into it, particularly when you creep close to that finish line. You can start seeing people think, okay, how am I going to use the uncuff me? How are we going to use the steal? So it's not just your average party game. And all the comments that we've got back so far from our 25 testing groups is that they've never laughed so hard in a party game. And that's literally all we want. We just want to get adults to step out of their comfort zone and have a bit of fun for a night.
Yeah, and behave like children.
Be kids,
Unless you're doing the X-rated, and then you shouldn't behave like a child because that's just nasty.
Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like being at PAX, having people play test, and there's a lot of really interesting games here, a lot of serious games, so to speak. How have you found that the sound game goes with that crowd?
Yeah, we were a little bit scared when we first came here because like our target market is friends who get together on a Friday night, have a wine, you know, they'll rip out the board games maybe every couple of months, you know, they're not the serious board gamers. So we didn't really know how we would be received. But there's a lot of people who have come over and have just had a laugh and given it a go and have had a lot of fun. And people who they didn't even think that they would enjoy the game.
Thank you for showing off that sound game, and keen to see people play it.
Keep an eye out.